500 million pounds, roughly $750 million at the time. That's how much the London Stock Exchange lost on a single software project. Not because the developers were bad, not because the technology failed, but because they tried to build the perfect system. One architecture and one software to rule them all. The project was called TAURUS. It tried to be everything to everyone. One perfectly generalized system to replace 17 other systems. The drive for a single reusable architecture made it impossible to build. Now, TAURUS's architecture was pretty good on paper. However, one of the creators of the drive principle, which says, "Don't repeat yourself," Dave Thomas, has been trying to correct a simple misunderstanding in that philosophy. He said something completely different than what the majority of people understand it to be. Before we start, I'm sure you've heard of the dry principle of don't repeat yourself, but have you actually ever read the original definition of dry? Most developers haven't. They inherited don't repeat yourself from blogs or videos on the internet. And those blogs and videos on the internet may have also misunderstood it. Now, to truly understand the dry principle and how we can correlate that back up to TAURUS, let's go back to 1999. Dave Thomas and Andy Hunt published The Pragmatic Programmer. Inside it, they wrote this exact sentence: "Every piece of knowledge must have a single, unambiguous, authoritative representation within a system." Did you catch that? It specifically says knowledge, not code, knowledge. That single word really changes everything about how you should think about code reusability. Dave Thomas has spent 25 years correcting this misunderstanding. He said explicitly, dry has nothing to do with code. It's all about knowledge. Here's the actual meaning of knowledge versus code. If two pieces of code look identical but represent different business concepts, they are not dry violations. They're completely separate knowledge that happens to share a similar implementation. The question isn't, do these lines look similar? The question is, do they change for the same reason? That distinction is worth millions of dollars, literally. So there was a React component that became infamous in developer circles. A team had a form component. It started simple. It could handle inputs and validate data and submit to a working API. It worked perfectly for user registration. Then the product team asked for a contact form. Sounds similar, right? So instead of a new component, the team just added props to the user registration form and just added a couple more validation rules and a couple more fields. But then the survey form, a few more props. By the time this component reached maturity, it probably had like 47 properties, 47 configuration options to handle every possible form in the entire application. However, adding a new form meant understanding all of those props and all their interactions. The code was technically perfectly dry when it comes to code, and it was perfectly reusable. But was it? Or was it just creating a new component that should have been completely separated from the beginning? Sandy Metz, who's a legendary programmer, author, and speaker, has a quote that should be tattooed on every developer's brain. Duplication is far cheaper than using the wrong abstraction. The cost of duplication is linear. Update in 2 places or 3, however many places we reuse. The cost of wrong abstraction is exponential. Every requirement makes it more complex. Every modification risks breaking something else. Every new team member faces a steeper learning cliff. So that form component eventually would need to be refactored into separate, simpler components. The refactoring will take weeks of developer time, weeks of code review, weeks of testing, and weeks of deployment risks. Weeks that wouldn't have been needed if the team had accepted that duplication up front. So quick question to ask yourself. Do you have any wrong abstraction in your code base right now? Most people do. Think of like that utility function that you have that does way too much, or that base class that every future class inherits from. Usually, this is a red flag for over abstraction. Also, if you're so far enjoying this video, go ahead and bop that like button. But now let's talk about when abstraction is the right call. Because I'm not saying never abstract, right? That's the opposite of dry, and it's equally as wrong. There's a principle called the rule of 3, which is popularized by Martin Fowler and Don Roberts. The quote is, "Don't abstract until you've seen the pattern at least 3 separate times within your code base." Like, here's a common scenario. A developer notices code in one service that looks similar to the code in another service. The first instinct might be to abstract it. Create a shared utility. Be dry. Don't repeat yourself. It feels productive. It feels like good engineering. But experienced teams push back on this. Wait for the third occurrence. Because here's what typically happens to those first two instances of similar code. One evolves into handling edge cases that the other needed, and one may get refactored entirely into as requirements shift. If they've been merged, both would have been constrained by each other's needs. The third time you see the pattern, now you have the full context. You can see which parts are truly shared versus just a coincidence. The abstraction you create will be precise when you wait for three. It'll be minimal and it will be genuinely useful. So here's the 3-rule framework. First occurrence, create a specific solution. Second occurrence, maybe it's just a coincidence. Third occurrence, now there's a pattern, maybe we should go about going dry. Only patterns may deserve abstractions. Kent C. Dodds, which is one of the most influential voices in React, had an experience that shaped his entire philosophy. He found a bug, which is just standard stuff, but when he went to fix it, he discovered the buggy code existed in 8 different places. Not because the original developer was lazy, because someone had created an abstraction, and over time, developers couldn't modify it without breaking others, so they just implemented the bug in multiple places, which fixed their specific instance, but created duplications of bugs. The developer fixed the bug in 8 different places. More importantly, he created a philosophy called AHA, A-H-A, AHA programming. Avoid hasty abstractions. His framing, we don't know what the future of code will be. When you abstract on day 1, you're predicting how your code will evolve. You're betting these 2 similar pieces will stay the same forever. You're betting changes will affect them in the same way. You're betting your understanding of the requirements that haven't even been written yet will be exactly how you predict. These bets are often wrong. AHA says optimize for change, not for reuse. Writing code that's easy to modify, understand, and delete. So everything so far has been about individual functions and components. But what happens when the entire architecture is built on maximizing code reuse? Well, that's where disasters get measured in hundreds of millions of dollars. So let's get back to TAURUS, the London Stock Exchange's modernization project. It began in 1983. The goal was to create a single system to handle all security settlements in the UK. The approach was to merge everything into one universal system that could handle every use case. The project attempted to merge 17 existing systems, 17 systems that had evolved over decades to handle a specific quirk of specific transaction types. The new architecture would abstract all of that into reusable components. So here's what happened when everything is abstracted. Changing anything requires understanding everything. A modification for bond settlements might affect equity trades. No one could trace the implications of any change. The code base grew increasingly complex, but worse in size was coupling. The system had become so tightly coupled that testing any component in isolation was difficult to do. Development ended up stretching for 10 years, from 1983 to 1993. Then it was canceled. 500 million pounds loss, which is over $1 billion in today's money after inflation. The postmortem identified overambition in creating a perfectly generalized system, which we all can tell, but the drive for reuse created a system where nothing could be reused because nothing could be extracted from the tangled mess of abstractions. But there was a replacement for TAURUS that did work. It was called Crest. Crest launched in 1996, just 3 years after TAURUS died. It succeeded by doing less. Instead of maximizing abstraction, Crest used simpler, more direct implementations. Yes, of course, some code was duplicated between subsystems because dry is all about knowledge, but duplication can also sometimes be a feature. When equities being processed needed modifications, bonds processing was unaffected. Teams worked more independently. Changes were tested in isolation. Crest launched in 1996 and still operates today. Nearly 30 years later, it was boring. It was simple, but sometimes boring and simple means it just works. If dry has a counterpart, it's damp. descriptive and meaningful phrases. Google's testing practices champion this. Their philosophy explicitly says this: accept duplication in test code because readability matters more. And that's so true. Readability is everything. The dry approach to testing is to extract similar fixtures into shared methods. You want to create custom assertion helpers. This is where you end up with tests that actually test the one line because understanding it requires, tracing 5 layers of setup. Google's approach is that a test should read like a specification. When a test fails, a developer should understand exactly what was expected and what went wrong, without clicking through helpers, without mental models of shared setup. So we can consider 2 testing approaches for the user registration that we were talking about before when we go back to the React component. There is a dry approach, which is given a standard user, when they register, then succeed. Details are hidden in the helpers. Damp, given a user with this email and a password with this password, which meets all the requirements, when they submit the registration form, then their account is created and a confirmation email is sent. It has more words, it has more duplication, but it dramatically is more useful when something breaks. But Damp, extends way beyond testing. It has documentation, configuration files, code structures. There are paths where explicit repetition serves understanding better than, trying to be clever with abstractions. Everything we've discussed assumes humans are writing the code. But, it's 2026. What happens when AI enters the picture, since this is the year of AI? It does change a bit in the way most people haven't really considered yet. So here's an observation that's becoming increasingly relevant. The cost of code duplication is primarily maintenance. It requires human effort to keep things in sync. AI doesn't really have constraints, right? When Claude generates code, it doesn't care if it's writing something similar to what it already exists in your application. Generating context-specific code from scratch is more reliable than correctly modifying all these different types of abstractions that might be touching so many different modules within your application. Like an AI can read your entire code base and understand patterns. For example, if you need to update similar code in 12 different places, AI can make those, 12 updates systematically in seconds. The human cost of duplication approaches 0 because AI is doing it. But the cost of wrong abstractions doesn't decrease. AI still struggles with overcoupled systems. It still makes mistakes when modifications have to cascade through abstraction layers. Some developers are already experiencing this. Working with AI is smoother when code bases are more explicit and more duplicated, more damp. The AI pattern matches better when patterns are visible in code rather than behind, abstractions. The definition of good code is evolving, and it might be evolving toward more explicit, more readable, more duplicated code than dry traditionally advocated for. We'll only know in the future. So until next time, write code that you want to maintain, even if that means a little repetition.